Hi, my friends. I had a minute before a meeting, so I thought that I would jump on and solve one of the problems from today. So here I go. All right, so Carl's rectangular vegetable garden is 20 feet by 45 feet. And Marianne's is 25 feet by 40 feet. Whose garden is larger in area? Use equations and arrays to explain your thinking and justify your answer. All right, so first I just want to think about it for a second. So Carl's garden is, this is Carl. His garden is 20 feet by 45 feet. Okay. Now Marianne's is 25 feet by 40 feet. And they want to know whose garden is larger in area. Okay, so one thing I noticed was that Carl's first dimension is 20 and his second dimension is 45. Marianne's first dimension is 25 and her second dimension is 40. So they sort of made the first dimension of Carl's increase by 5 and the second dimension of Carl's decrease by 5. So already they're trying to put into your head, does that make a difference in the area? So we're gonna have to calculate both to figure it out and see. All right, so Carl has a garden that's 20 feet by 45. Okay, and I'm gonna label this Carl. So that way I remember whose garden it is that I'm looking at when I eventually answer the question of whose garden is larger. And then I'm just gonna set myself up for the second one. So Marianne's is 25. So 25 by 40. Okay, now I don't necessarily know these multiplication facts just the way they are. So I'm gonna do a little bit of splitting. All right, let's see. Well, the 45, I think I definitely want to split into pieces. So I'm gonna do 40 and 5 because 45 can be broken up into those two pieces. Okay. Now, this might be all that I need to do if I think I can solve these multiplication problems without breaking up anything any further. So let me think. Could I do 20 times 40? Yeah, I think I could. Since they both end in a 0, I can use a fact that I know that's similar. Could I do 20 times 5? Yeah, I think I could do that. All right, so I don't think I actually need to do any further breaking apart with Carl's garden. I think I can do it as it is. All right, so I'm gonna use my highlighters just to show the pieces that I'm going to be calculating. All right, so split Carl's garden into this rectangle and this rectangle. This rectangle has dimensions of 20, I didn't do any changing on this side. And then I need to look for the bottom dimension of only the rectangle that I highlighted. So it's 40, 20 by 40. Okay, all right, so 2 times 40, if I pretended that this was just a 2 times 40 would be 80. So instead of 2 times 40, now I have 20 times 40. What do you get? 800. 800 square units. Okay. Now, the next rectangle is this one. And I need to figure out the dimensions of that. So this long side doesn't have any like perpendicular lines. We didn't cut it, so it's really just this whole length, which is the same as the length of this side. We know that with rectangles, opposite sides have the same length. So if this side is 20, then this side is also 20. So this is a 20 by, and now I'm looking for the length of this side. Okay, it's actually directly underneath when I broke up this 45. This is a 20 by 5. Oh, 20 times 5, I know. That's a fact that I have in my head, or I can count by 25 times. So 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 20 times 5 is 100. Ooh, okay, I already know the area of Carl's garden. Carl's garden is how much altogether? Take this area and add it to this area. All right, Carl's garden is 900 square feet. All right, Carl's garden is 900 square feet. So now I'm going to do the same thing for Marianne's garden. Okay. Now since this is a 25 by 40, I don't know 25 times 40 off the top of my head. I just don't know that. But the 40 ends in a 0, which makes it a friendly number to work with. So I think if I'm going to cut up one of the sides, one of the dimensions, I'm going to do that to the 25. And I'm going to make it into more friendly numbers. 20 and 5. Everything that ends in a 0 is pretty easy to work with, because you can almost ignore the 0 and then just multiply it by 10 for every 0 that you're adding. So once we know a little bit about place value, those zeros can kind of be ignored, but then the idea of multiplying be reapplied. All right, so now I have my 25 that was broken up into a dimension of 20 and a dimension of 5. Okay, I think I can do this now, but I want to still use my highlighter to keep myself organized when I am trying to figure out the dimensions of the rectangles. It just helps me to know what it is that I'm looking at. All right, so the dimensions of the first rectangle in Marianne's garden, I see right here that this side length is 20 times, and we always know it's length by width, or length by width. Either way, we take one dimension from either side of the rectangle. So it's a 20 by this. This did not get broken up at all. It's 40, a 20 by 40. Interesting. Okay, we actually already figured that out over here in Carl's garden, that a 20 by 40 was 800 square units, in this case, square feet. Interesting. Okay, now we have another rectangle. It's the bottom portion. Ooh, I am super interested to see what happens. I think I already know the answer of whose garden is larger. Do you think you can figure out how I already know? I'm giving you some time to think. Taking a look at both gardens, how do I already know that Marianne is going to have a larger area? All right, well, if both of these pieces ended up being the same size, then I really only need to look at the other two pieces. This was a 20 by 5 with an area of 100. Look at what I have here. This is a 40 times 5, or a 5 times 40. So I already know that 5 times 40 is going to be bigger than 20 times 5. All right, I think I have my answer, but let's get a total area anyway for Marianne. So 5 times 4 would be 20. 5 times 40 would be, jot it out, 200. What's another way that I knew that this was going to be 200? Can you use something over here to help you figure out that this area would be 200? If 20 times 5 was 100, then 40 times 5, we're doubling one of our factors. What does that do to our answer, our product? If 20 times 5 was 100 and I double a factor, then my product, 100, is doubled also to 200. All right, so now I can take those two pieces of Marianne's garden, the 800 and the 200, and add them together to get the total area. How big is Marianne's garden? Marianne's garden is 1,000 square feet. All right, so go back to the question, whose garden is larger? Yes, it's Marianne. I want to make sure I answer that. I'm kind of out of room, but I'm going to put it right here. Marianne's garden is larger. Period. Here, I'm going to circle it. It's my answer. And I have my work to prove it. All right, so that was number 1 on page 26 of today, Monday, March 30th's work. I hope that you got the same answer I did, and if not, go back and pause and solve it again in your orange spiral. If you see where you made a mistake, I would love to know what mistake you made, because that always helps me when I'm teaching, and it helps our classmates if they made the same mistake too. So feel free to let me know later. All right, bye guys.